Welcome to week 5, where we are going to be talking about air and airflow and in relation to air pressure and winds. So in the first video, we're going to talk about what air is and how it behaves. We'll come back in the second video this week and we will talk about what air pressure is and how changing air pressure produces winds. And then in video 3, we'll talk about the different types of winds that are produced. And then in video 4, we'll get into some of the controls on atmospheric circulation, which will be important for the next few weeks. And then we'll get into how we measure air pressure and winds. So what is air? If you remember from a few weeks ago, air is a mixture of gas, water, and particulates in the atmosphere. And because air is largely a gas, its behavior can be understood by examining air pressure, air temperature, and volume. And here we can see just an example. If we're down at the surface of the earth, we have much higher pressure than we do if we move away from the surface of the earth. And this is because we have the weight of all this air above us being pulled by gravity onto the surface. So a little bit more about how air behaves. Air flows from place to place because of changes in air pressure, which is directly related to changes in volume and temperature. So we have cold air, the air is more dense, then when we have warm air, it is less dense. So some gas laws that'll help us understand this temperature difference and how that relates to pressure. In these simulations, we're going to look at, here we've got temperature control, so we're going to heat up or cool down these pads that are next to this open air feature here that has air in it. We're going to heat it up and see what happens to it. Air pressure is the force per unit area that's exerted on the surface by air. So the bottom of this this object here that's holding the air, this canister, is going to feel a certain pressure based on what's happening with the air inside it, and it's directly related to temperature. So if we increase our temperature, we see that we increase temperature of these pads, we heat up the air inside this canister, the air heats up, it expands, and it becomes less dense, and it wants to rise. So the pressure at the bottom of this canister goes down because the air wants to rise out of it. So if we do the opposite and cool it down, we end up cooling the air becomes more dense, and it wants to sink, causing the pressure at the bottom of this canister to increase. So cold air, high pressure, warm air, low pressure. So that kind of wraps up air pressure and air and how it behaves. We'll come back and talk about more specifics of air pressure and how it changes and produces winds.